Okay, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. It is 5 o'clock, I guess 5:01, calling the Crow Wing County Board of Commissioners regular meeting to order. Roll call, I think, first.
Pledge first.
Pledge first? Okay. Pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. Please rise. Now roll call.
Commissioner Coring,
I'm here.
Commissioner Lebke,
Here.
Commissioner Barrows is absent, Commissioner Franzine, Commissioner Hoag.
Here.
This is time for open forum. This is for things that are not on the agenda that somebody would like to speak for. Do we have anything at this time?
We do not.
Anybody online? I don't see anybody other than Paul.
Nope.
So we will go dispense, I think, with the open forum and go right on to the review and approve the minutes for the 11/26 regular board meeting. We have a motion by Franzine.
Second.
Second by Hoag. Roll call.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine, Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Lebke.
Aye. Motion carried. Review and approve the agenda. Any additions or deletions?
Mr. Chair, under Community Services number 7, we're removing number 7.2. Is that correct, Taylor? The one for Garrison is being removed? Yeah, so we're removing 7.2 off the agenda, but no other changes beyond that.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Franzine, second by Hoag. Roll call.
Commissioner Franzine, Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Lebke.
Aye. Motion carried. Consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
is there anybody for an explanation about the out-of-state travel in 5.9? Could I just have a brief explanation? You know, I'm not a big fan of out-state travel. I just want to know what it is. If they're going to go get trained and bring that training back here, can I have just a brief explanation if there's anybody?
Yep, there's somebody coming up.
Hi, Commissioner Coring. Bethany Imgren, Public Health Supervisor. This is approval for myself and the Emergency Preparedness Coordinator, the health educator that's underneath me, to attend the Preparedness Summit, which is a summit in which they'll be talking about specifically themes and pathways of recovery after disasters. So in discussion of recovery for our programs, which is part of our grant duties and requirements. So it's a training opportunity. We'll both be attending, myself in regards to being able to attend breakouts that discuss, policies and improvements that happen on that side of things, and then she'll be in attendance in response to best practices.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. That's all I needed.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Coring, second by Franzine. All in favor? Roll call.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine, Commissioner Lebke.
Aye, motion carried. We are right at we're at 5:04. I guess we have a public hearing coming up at 5:05. I think we just have to wait that one. Oh, it is 5:05. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Chris Pence, Environmental Services Manager for the Land Service Department. We're having a public hearing tonight to repeal some obsolete county ordinances. I've identified over the last year just some ordinances that really are no longer pertinent, that we no longer have to really keep on the books, and so I can kind of go down the list. Addressing and sign is now addressed in the county land use ordinance. Environmental review, that is now handled in Minnesota Rules 4410, so we don't need to have an ordinance for that. Filing of surveys, that's something that was put in place back in 1995, but it's not something that's been consistently done, and after having a talk with our contract surveyor, didn't feel like we need to have an ordinance to require that. Gull Lake Access was an agreement that we had with the DNR, last updated last in 1998 about hours of operation, about the Gull Lake Access. Part of it was on county lands. The hunting stand ordinance that was put into our recent recreation ordinance we approved earlier this year. We have a junk salvage standard ordinance now in the land use ordinance. We also updated the park ordinance, which falls under the recreation ordinance. The provisions for that were put into that recreation ordinance. Phosphorus fertilizer is banned in state statute as well as in the land use ordinance. The septic cleaning tanks from 1982, that is now handled through Minnesota rules 7080 through 83. And then wetland conservation from 1994, that is handled through Minnesota Rules 8420 for the Wetland Conservation Act. There was also an ordinance about parking on the courthouse from 1978. I was 4 when that was put in place, so I didn't really think we probably needed that anymore. And then we have a couple, we had ordinances about methamphetamines and clandestine drug labs, and those have both been put into statute, so we don't have to have a local ordinance for that. So these are the ordinances that we're proposing that would be repealed as just, I think, cleaning up what we need to as far as our ordinances. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do we need to do both of them separate? Or
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chair, we can do all of the ordinances as one repeal resolution. We do have to hold a public hearing for the purpose of
Right,
repealing all of
but
these
there's
ordinances.
another public hearing right under
Different,
that. That's a
separate
different
one.
public
That's
hearing. We have to
yes, that's
separate them.
something
Okay.
different. So this one is separate.
Okay. Is there anybody here to speak to the public?
Open it first.
Yep. Oh.
Mr. Chair.
Yep. Yes. You're not coming through the
I
monitors,
move-
so I,
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I move to open the public hearing.
okay, thank you.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Do we need roll?
Hoag?
Yep.
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Public hearing is open. Is there anybody here to speak to the public hearing in regards to the repealing of the obsolete county ordinances? Is there anybody here online or in person to speak to the repeal of the obsolete county ordinances? Is there anybody here to speak to the repeal of the obsolete county ordinances?
Mr. Chair, I would move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Coring, seconded by Hoag. All in favor?
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Now we're back open?
Back open, now you take the action to
Okay.
repeal.
I'll make the motion to repeal the outdated and duplicate ordinances.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Hoag, seconded by Franzine. Roll call.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye, motion carried. Now, we have the 5:10. Oh, we got one more minute. Is it going to click quick? Timing.
Timing's everything.
Timing's everything.
Mr. Chairman, could we maybe have an explanation from staff on what we're going to do? And by that time that's over with, we could
Sure.
move into the.
Great idea. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Who is coming up to speak on the public hearing for the Crow Wing County 2025 fee schedules?
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. So every year, county staff reviews our fee schedules that the county has. There's multiple departments. We go through an analysis process to make sure that our costing and what we're charging to the public aligns with what our analysis shows. So in the packet, there were multiple fee schedule revisions and some removals for the various departments. They are noted in that packet as strike-throughs for deletions, and then in red font for any changes that we had. So we had fee schedule revisions for community services, for financial services, also for the highway department, the land services, and I believe the sheriff's office. And with that, I will entertain any questions you may have.
Any questions? on
Mr.
the-
Chair. Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I would just point out the fact that the county board has gone through all this in line by line at the budget committee, so this is obviously not the first time that we've
Right.
seen, just for the public to know. So with that, Mr. Chair, I would open the public hearing or I would move to open the public hearing on the fee schedule.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion by Coring, seconded by Franzine. All in favor?
Commissioner Hold?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Public hearing is open. Is there anybody here to address the fee changes for our 2025 county? Anybody here to address the 2025 county fee schedule? Anybody here to address the Crow Wing County 2025 fee schedule? See nobody here or online?
Motion to close.
Second.
We have a motion to close by Franzine, second by Hoag. All in favor?
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Hold?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Now I would entertain a motion to adopt.
I'll make the motion to adopt the new fee schedule for 2025.
Second.
Motion by Hoag, second by Franzine. All in favor?
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Hold?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Community Services is up next.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm Taylor Lesmeister, public health educator. The property we have of concern today is located on the 7,000 block of Barrows Avenue in Brainerd. This property was found to have a large amount of garbage, household waste in piles, mattresses, other soft-sided items, as well as tires and containers holding water. All of which may attract nuisance animals, insects, microbes, and give them an environment in which they can reproduce. The property owner and tenant were provided with a notice to abate these concerns, and despite progress being made by the tenant, the scale of the nuisance was not fully understood and some additional concerns had been uncovered. The tenant has expressed financial barriers to being able to remove the larger items on their own, and we are asking for permission from the board to use solid waste funds if the property owner is unable to continue making progress.
Any questions from anybody on the board?
No questions. Yeah, I guess looking for a motion?
I'm looking for a
I'll make a
motion.
motion to approve the public health nuisance Barrows Road in Brainerd, solid waste funds to cover the cost.
Second.
Okay.
Motion by Hoag, second by Coring. All in favor?
Commissioner Hold?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. We have 7-3 up here now, a mental health grant, Region 5 Plus. Region 5 Plus, was that written twice? I'll let somebody explain that to me.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Tammy Loic, Adult Services Manager over at Community Services.
Mr.
Everybody's been coming to the podium.
Just 1 second.
Tammy, before you start, are we not, oh, you removed the Garrison
Correct.
7.2,
Yes.
correct? Okay,
Correct.
yeah, okay. Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so I was saying, everyone's been coming to the podium, so I guess us is where I'll come as well, but now I just broke this thing. But anyway, okay. We're here before you today to ask for approval, not only to sign, but also approval for the grant contract and for signature. This has come before you before. This happens every 2 years. We receive our adult mental health, our Region 5 Adult Mental Health Initiative grant, and we are the fiscal host. That's for Aiken, Cass, Crow Wing, Morrison, Todd, Wadena, and the Mille Lacs and Leech Lake tribal nations. And then for our Crow Wing County Community Support Plan services, and that's specific to Crow Wing County. The grant award, the total award is $7,203,028, with $3,378,028 for Region 5 Plus AMHI per year for 25, and then we'll have that amount again in '26. This is over a 50% increase from previous years. Legislatively, there were some changes made, as well as there was a new funding formula that was adopted, and we saw a pretty significant increase. These dollars are used to support our mental health continuum of care throughout the region, and the initiative has been busy working on their plans for '25 and '26 with some of the services that we will be able to bring to the region that we currently don't have. The CSP grant for Crow Wing County remains the same. It's been the same, I think, since I've been here, which is 15 years, so $223,449. And that will be, again, we'll have that amount in '25 and '26. Are there any questions?
I have one. How do you keep, you said it comes in from multiple counties. We're the host,
We're the fiscal host, yep.
fiscal host. How does that get allocated? Do they ask for it from the other counties, or is there a number that those other counties get out of that number that we?
So every year, they, the board within the Adult Mental Health Initiative, so they met today as well, and to review the budget for 2025. And then, so the way that it's been established is that Crow Wing gets a little bit more because of our population, and then the other counties get a different percentage, but that's kind of how the dollars are broken down. And then we do go into contract with some agencies for, as an example, for uncompensated care for mobile crisis outreach. If there's, we may be in contract with Northern Pines for that. So the Adult Mental Health Initiative, like I said, goes into contract for services with some agencies, Northern Pines, Nystrom's, trying to think of some other ones, but that's how we dole out the dollars. And those programs typically are regional, but there are some times where maybe we can't have a provider that is able or willing to serve the whole region. So we might, like, example of that would be transportation. So we may get services established with one provider in Crow Wing, but we may have to use a different provider over in the Wadena area.
Kind of nice to see an increase.
Yeah, and it's a significant increase.
There's a need out there.
Yeah, there's a great need out there.
Any other questions from any of the other commissioners? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Franzine, second by Hoag. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Oh, gotcha.
Commissioner Franzine. Aye. Commissioner Hoag.
Aye.
Commissioner Lupke.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
before you move on, I should have spoke to this when we did the consent agenda, but if you'll just give me just a second. On the consent agenda, we approved the landfill contract with Marv Stroshine, and I meant to say this, and I kind of forgot about it until just now. And if you don't mind, I'd like to just say a public thank you to Marv Stroshine and his family, who have been running the landfill for a long time. And I'll tell you what, the Crow Wing County citizens really owe Marv and his family a big thank you. They do a tremendous job out at the landfill. We've just signed another 10-year contract with Marv and his family. And I just want to publicly say thank you, Marv. Commissioner Hoag and I have been on the Solid Waste Committee for 12 years, and it has been an honor and a pleasure to work with you, and I look forward to working with you for the next 4 years. So I want to just say publicly, thank you, Marv Stroshine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Now we'll go on to land services. I see we're all up front here.
Well, good evening again, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. We have before you tonight a land use map amendment located in Section 35 of Oaklawn Township. The owner of the property is Anthony Peters. The request is to amend the land use map from agricultural forested to rural residential 5. Teresa, if you can go down to the next page down. There, I think that's a good one. So this is located in Oaklawn Township. You've got Hazelnut here, and County Road 23 over here, and then 144. And so the proposal is to rezone this to an RR5. As a reminder, what the colors mean again, blue is the RR5 zoning, The yellow is 2.5. The dark green on the inside here is our agricultural forested district, and then the yellow here is 2.5, and then the green here would be commercial 1. And the areas that are white are county tax forfeited lands. And so the request was to rezone this to RR5. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment held a public hearing on November 21st of 2024 and made a recommendation to the county board to approve the land use map amendment based on the application submitted, staff report, and the finding of fact on record. Staff have reviewed the application as well and all information in the record and recommend approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is there any question from the board? I'm trying to get it back up on my screen.
Mr. Chair and Chris, can you put that, or I should say Therese, can you put the map back up there? Okay. That's, Chris, it's in between 144 and 23?
Correct. If we can go back to
Okay.
that, if we go back to the map up top, Trees, maybe without the, there we go. That might make it easier.
Hold
to-
on.
Can you pull it out a little bit or?
Yeah,
or-
she's
Zoom
working
out.
on it.
Well, yeah.
Oh my gosh. There we
Okay.
go.
Yep, so there's, if we can go back out just a little bit more, Trees, so we can see the highways on both sides. Well, I guess it's not showing. Maybe, is there, I think I have a third map in there too, maybe. Yeah, that's not gonna do it. So this is the best map here, Commissioner Coring, to show, but it would be 23 over here, it'd be 144. If you go down to that, and then there's 18 up top right there. You can't see, I guess I should be poking because you can't see
Right,
it,
you
but
can't.
you
see
can't
that.
see that, but,
That's, for some reason, this isn't making sense to me because 144 is before you get to County Road 23.
can we go back to the other, can we,
This one?
am I not reading that right over here? What is that?
Oh,
144.
okay.
And then 23 here, and then Hazelnut goes, then it goes over to
Oh,
Town Line Road over
okay,
here, and then,
Okay, I guess I'm looking at it the wrong way.
yeah, 18's
Okay.
to the north. Yep.
So, okay, I was thinking of Butternut Road.
Yeah,
but
I was,
it's-
no, I understand.
Yeah, okay, I understand. That's all I had. Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion from Coring, second by Francine. All in favor?
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Hogg?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye, motion carried. 8.2, I guess you're up here for that too.
Good morning, or good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Each year, the state of Minnesota, since 2014, 2025 will be the 11th year, they distribute $10 million to counties for aid in developing a plan to stop the spread of aquatic invasive species. And in 2025, Crow Wing County will receive $472,193. This is just a small decrease of about $200 from 2024. So we are required to update, excuse me, our AIS prevention plan every year. This year, we commenced a 30-day public comment period that went from November 8th to December 8th. We received 3 comments during that time, and they are attached in your packet. And then we did have a presentation of the plan on November 6th, right before our public comment period, and we also took questions and comments during that meeting. For 2025, we are proposing just a few changes. We are proposing pay increases for our staff to recruit new staff and to retain those ones that have been with us for multiple years. And then a $2 per hour pay incentive for those that do the extra decontamination training. And then we propose a shift change of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Previously, we've been doing 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we got some feedback on that, and what you have before you in your plan is a shift of 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. instead of the proposed 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We heard their feedback, we looked at the data, and there is more boaters that do come in and out between that 5 and 6 p.m. Initially, we were kind of thinking of staffing. People would like the 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. more. They'd get off an hour earlier. But looking at the data, we decided that that would be a good switch of switching the shifts from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So it would still be a shortened shift. They would just start an hour later than previously. So There is one correction in the plan on the map that's in the plan. It does still state that the landings will be staffed from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you do approve the plan, we will change that on the map before we publish it. So that's what we have, and we recommend that you approve the 2025 AIS prevention plan.
Any questions on the board in regards to this?
Maybe with those increases, how many hours does that take away from the, say, last year's schedule?
We're still proposing to cover the landing just like we did last year, just 1 hour less each day.
Okay,
So it's, otherwise it's still the
consume it.
same days, same
Okay,
everything.
perfect, thank you.
Have we had in the last year, because we've done this now a couple of years where we've increased it in order to have enough people, have we been having enough people to be able to man the landings fairly well in this last year?
Last year, we did do really well with that. Could have had maybe 5 more throughout the whole season, just because of people coming and going. But mostly for the whole season, we were pretty well staffed.
So by increasing that, we have been able to fill it in. I mean, we have the money there. It's to be spent to be inspections, but if we don't have people that can be there, they don't get inspected.
Right.
So this has helped at least have people
Yes,
there.
yes.
And a lot of it is education, correct? It's
Correct.
not, we're not out there taking people's boats away because they got weeds on them, but. it's-
Correct. We have no authority like that out there.
Right, I know. I just thought I'd ask you. So, is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak at all? I didn't ask that because it's on the agenda. I don't know if there's anybody here who wants to speak to AIS that's.
Mr. Chair, Therese, could you put up the map on page 293? Just a question, Jessica, is there any changes to any of the landings than what they were in previous years? Or are you proposing the same?
Yes.
Yeah, if you
Yep.
could,
So Nisswa, we are increasing. They will be covered on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Previously, they were only Saturdays and Sundays. And then, I don't remember exactly, but there's 2 or 3 in the southern part of this county that we reduced to only Saturdays and Sundays instead of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So overall, the hours kind of evened out. We just are kind of switching them around from landing to landing.
Do we really know how often or when those landing are used? Or the only time we know is if there's somebody there as one of our inspectors are there? There's no, I know on some of the landings, there was an indicator that would say how many people were using the landing, some kind of a sensor or something like that, but it never really told the time.
Right, yep, so basically, right now it is when our inspectors are there, we have buried car counters. It's been about 5 or 6 years since we've done that. And we do have some lake associations that have installed their own cameras that say, hey, this is when they're the busiest, they'll give us the data sometimes.
Okay, so we can, time it so, if somebody's sitting there and there's nobody showing up at the landing, and they could be at another landing, it'd be nice to kind of guide that. And it's, how long has this been going on? How long has the state been giving us that money in AIS?
2025 will be the 11th year.
11th year, okay. So, is there any other questions? I would ask for a motion to approve, I guess.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 invasive species plan.
Second.
Motion by Hoag, second by Coring. All in favors?
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Lubke?
Aye, motion carried. 8.3, land use revision.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, this is, we're bringing before you tonight amendments to the land use ordinance. I'll just go briefly through what's being changed, and then I'll talk about the process. And then I'll discuss what happened at the Planning Commission meeting on November 11th. So there's some significant changes to the ordinance tonight that are important for what, as we need to plan for 2025. So Article 7, we added interim use permits. Those are similar to a conditional use permit. It just allows us to put timing on it and sunset dates for that. So certain uses, we think it's more appropriate to be an interim use. We did some housekeeping, Article 9, which is a subdivision article. We just needed to clarify about septic site suitability requirements for the winter windows. Article 10, this is really based on some of the work that you guys did as we worked through the comprehensive plan. And so the comprehensive plan had some recommendations to streamline some of our land use districts. So this Article 10, we're deleting rural residential 20. We're combining our commercial land use 1 and 2 districts into 1, and our commercial industrial land districts as well into 1. So we're going from five of those districts down to 3. We're clarifying where interim use permits are going to be implemented in the ordinance. They're going to be for areas where we're going to have potential cannabis businesses, as well as gravel pit and extractive uses would be proposed as being interim uses. We're proposing to delete liquor on or off sale from the shoreline district, and that because it needs to be in the commercial zoning district to be able to get a liquor license from the county as well, and then to add marina as a conditional use in commercial districts. There's been a little bit of confusion tonight. I want to clarify. There was a proposal to amend Article 11.4F, which would allow setback averaging. Just want to be clear that, and it said in the RBA that the Planning Commission did not recommend approving that section of the ordinance. Article 14 is our residential zoning article. We're just deleting rural residential 20 out of that, more housekeeping. Article 15, that was one of probably the biggest add to this ordinance is just how do we regulate commercial cannabis use that'll become effective and go live with the state of Minnesota on January 1 of 2025. And then there's a few added definitions in Article 46, basically in place to be clear about what's needed for cannabis. And so that was the main change to the ordinance. Just from a timeline perspective, staff presented to the county board updates to the ordinance at the October 15th, 2024 committee of the whole meeting. And then based on that conversation, we came back and went to the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment. We had a workshop prior to the meeting that night going over the land use changes. And then on November 19th, we came back to the county board with a final proposal at the committee of the whole meeting, and then we had a public hearing on November 21st. It's also important to know that after that meeting on October 15th, we did do a public hearing, but a public comment period from October 15th to November 15th, that we received one comment during that time, and it was from the DNR, and we also have a conditional letter of approval for that section for any changes to the shoreline part of the ordinance. So just in summary, the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment held a public hearing on November 11th, 2024 for the ordinance revision. Nobody testified at the meeting. And then the PCBOA made a motion to recommend approval to the county board to amend the land use ordinance as submitted, excluding Article 11.4F setback averaging. So they made a recommendation to the board to approve everything except for Article 11.4F.
Yeah, there was a little confusion on that. Thank you for clearing that up.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Steve is not here tonight, or Commissioner Barrows is not here, but I know he had some concerns about that interim use. Did you get that all?
Yes, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I did have a meeting with Commissioner Barrows after that committee of the whole meeting in November, and we sat down and had a good talk and worked through it. And he was
his concerns.
He was concerned. He said
Good,
were answered, and he had no other issues or concerns with the ordinance.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if you're ready for a motion, I make a motion to approve the resolution amending the land use ordinance as recommended by the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment, except to include the Article 11.4F setback averaging.
I'll second.
Motion by Coring, seconded by Hoag.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a lot of work. That was a little bit of work there getting that baby done, wasn't it?
I'm glad it's done.
It's not
Thank
done.
you very much. I appreciate all your work in helping us through
Yes,
the process. So
yes,
thank
yes.
you.
Next up, County Sheriff. County Sheriff, that's you.
I don't have a lot for you today. I just wanted to share one thing with you that we started in the beginning of the year, and that was we have these business cards throughout our office, and we have these little boxes, and people fill these cards out when a coworker does something good. And the first month that we did it, we had 155 people participate with those cards, and we've been doing it over the jail for longer than that, and we get around 156, I think they had. They always beat us by a couple. When we first started that, we really were, I was really worried about whether or not we could sustain that going forward, because we do Employee Appreciation Month. And we recognize all the employees from those cards, or some of the employees from those cards, the good work that they do. And this last month, we checked the numbers to see if we were still getting the participation in there. And it's true, we've had over another 150 cards that come in monthly about, saying or talking about the good work that their coworkers do. And I believe that you have to be intentional about taking care of our people, or about thanking our people for doing the good work that they do. And I sure do appreciate them. With that, we're putting together a year-end annual report for you. I don't think you guys have seen one ever before from the Sheriff's Office, and that'll be coming out at the beginning of this next year, encapsulating what we have done over this last year, just in a snapshot, so that you guys can have a kind of a good idea of what our year looked like for law enforcement overall. I also wanted to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. To you and your families. I sure appreciate this last year working with you, and the support that I've had and felt from you as well in support of law enforcement. Specifically, I wanted to thank Tim Hool. Obviously, he's gone. And Debbie Erickson had some big shoes to fill. And I want to report to you that she has filled those shoes above expectations for us. I do appreciate you, Deb, for all the good work that you do with us and your support for law enforcement and what we're trying to accomplish over there. Not always in a way that you guys are probably used to. We do things a little differently, but you've been really patient with us, and I really do appreciate that. And also, I wanted to thank Doug Haug, Commissioner Haug, for his good support and for us as well. We thank you for your commitment to the citizens of Crow Wing County, and for your all these years of service that you've done. And we take our hats off to you, and really do appreciate you.
Thank you.
So with that, Stephanie up there as well, definitely a distinguished guest, and she's been a rock star for us as well, and that's thanks to you guys for allowing her to work on these really kind of sensitive issues that we've had throughout the county. And she's been a big support and a big help to us trying to get these things taken care of. So with that, thank you. Merry Christmas to you. I hope you guys have a great New Year.
Thank you.
With that, I'll entertain any questions if you have any.
Well, how about a comment? Thank you for your service, and looking at what's happened in our neighboring state in the last couple days, it's really brings it back to why we need you guys here. And thank you for your service and all of your staff.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board? Thank you. County Attorney, I see we have representative.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I do not have anything that Don has provided me for the meeting today. He asked that I be here at this meeting tonight, and I was also here for, obviously, public health issues. Thank you, Eric, for the nice comments. I would entertain any questions if somebody would have those.
Any questions from the board for the Assistant County Attorney? Thank you, Stephanie. County Administrator.
Mr. Chair, the first item that I have for you tonight, senior management team report. We did not hold a meeting this week, so there's no report coming from senior management team there. The next item I have is a resignation from the Airport Commission. Dave Elbers was one of the county appointees to the Airport Commission, with his term running through January 1st of 2026. Mr. Elbers has submitted his resignation from the Airport Commission effective after the November meeting. So the action before you today, the recommendation would be to accept the resignation of Dave Elbers from the Brainerd Lakes Regional Airport Commission. authorize a certificate of appreciation be prepared for him, and then also to advertise to fill the vacancy. We would advertise in our local newspapers and ask applications be received by December 31st for the board to make a new appointment in January.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I don't know if you need a motion. I think you could probably do it, but I'll make a motion anyway. A motion to accept the resignation of Dave Albers from the Airport Commission and to, I guess, accept letters of interest until the 31st. And also to give Dave Albers a certificate of appreciation.
Okay, sounds good.
Second.
Motion by Coring, seconded by Francine. All in favor signify by roll call.
Commissioner Franzine? Aye. Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke?
Aye, motion carried.
Mr. Chair, the next item is the citizen committee appointments. Therese, I think you have provided them with that list. Anything to add to that item that is there? So this is the list of committee appointments that are expiring either at the end of December or at the end of January. Any of the items that you see here for your district or as an at-large appointment, these will be items we'll be looking for your feedback and input on in January for those appointments to be done.
Unless they have.
Unless you have anybody who,
Yeah, I would like to reappoint John Moline to the Extension Committee.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I do have Jim Gaida's phone number, but I do not have Brad Arnold's phone number. Therese, could you email that to me if you, I would assume that we have it somewhere, right?
I do. I'll email
Okay,
you.
thank you. Thank you so much.
You have on here, this term would expire 1/31/25. Does that mean they're still on?
For another month.
Another month?
yes.
But all of these are eligible for reappointment.
Right. Do you have any of them, we'll send out something and ask them if they want to reapply, or how do you do that?
No, I can reach out or you can reach out.
Okay, okay.
Just let me know
Mr.
what you want me to do.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Mr. Chair, normally, always in the past, the commissioner of that district would reach out to those, because those are your appointees.
Yep.
So I've always reached out and asked those people if they would be willing to serve again. So
Okay.
I just think it's better that the commissioner
Sure.
reach out rather than
thank you.
And actually, Mr. Chair, I do reach out to the at-large folks. If it isn't me, it's the department that is in charge of the committee.
Yep.
So we will take care of those.
Just for my curiosity, the acronym SLSSD?
Serpent Lake Sanitary Sewer District.
Okay, that would
And
not.
those are city appointments.
That'd be over someplace else.
And I have heard from that representative that she is in touch with all the 4 cities.
Okay.
And that she will let us know when those folks are appointed.
Is there really any action on that, or is that
You have
just
to
any?
affirm those actions for the Serpent Lake Board. Those are the only ones that you affirm rather than actually make the appointment. But you are required to affirm the appointment because the county board is the one who actually established the Serpent Lake Sewer District.
Any action we need to do tonight on it?
Other than Rosemary had mentioned she wants to reappoint John Wallin, are there any others that you are all ready to appoint? Or is that the only one, then that's the only appointment you would have to make, Mr. Chair?
So you make that appointment.
I'll make that appointment to appoint John Wallin to the Extension Committee.
And these will be on your next agenda also,
Right.
and the agenda after that, and probably the one after
Yeah,
that.
And then
I
one
know.
after that, and the one after that.
But like Commissioner Coring said, I should reach out to those people first before we do
Yeah,
that.
if you need
so
any phone numbers, emails,
Yep.
I've got them all.
I think I know most of them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Mr. Chair, that's the last item I had, unless you have any questions of me.
Any questions from the board for our administrator? If not, I guess we are.
Mr. Chair, our next item is the budget and levy presentation, which is scheduled for a 6 PM public hearing. So if you would like to recess until 6 PM.
I would love to recess for 15 minutes, so. So we are recessed for 15 minutes till 6 o'clock to start our public hearing for the 6 o'clock. It's a public hearing for the 2025 budget and levy and CIP. We will have a report from, your title is?
Finance Director.
Thank you, from Nancy. And afterwards, then we will hear public hearing. We'll open it for public hearing. Thank you.
Want to put the first slide up for me, Nancy? So tonight, the purpose of tonight's meeting is to discuss the county's 2025 budget and levy. If you are here to discuss your property valuation or classification, that's not what will be discussed at this meeting. But if you do have questions on your value or the classification of your property, our County Assessor Gary Griffin, Land Services Director, and his team are here on site to help answer any questions that you have with regard to valuation or classification. So if any of you are here for that and would like to go with Gary to have that conversation, you are welcome to do so. You're also welcome to listen to the presentation that is here for the budget and levy as well. If you are here with regard to the county's budget and levy increase of 3.99% increase in the county levy, this is the meeting that you should be attending, and that's what this session is for. For those of you who have indicated that you have questions or want to discuss the library funding, I need to make a couple of announcements at the beginning of this meeting so you have an understanding of what is being discussed tonight. You will not see any information in this presentation with regard to the library-specific funding. The library funding is part of the Crow Wing County General Fund levy, which is included in that 3.99% increase. There is currently $509,127 included in the county's levy for 2025 for funding for the Kichigami Regional Library. That is an amount that is set by statute that the county is required to provide to the library for those library services. There cannot be any reduction in the amount that is there. However, the county board at this meeting can no longer increase the levy above the 3.99% increase that they have set in place for 2025. The time to increase that levy was prior to September when the preliminary levy was set. Once the preliminary levy is set, the levy can be reduced, but it cannot be increased. So any funding increases for the library would be looked at as part of the 2026 budget and levy, that process will be occurring starting shortly after the first of the year. I can let you know that county staff is already working on the 2026 budget. We've already started to have conversation with library staff about that process, and we will be including that library earlier. We'll be including the library earlier in the conversation of the budget as we go into 2026. But I just wanted to make you aware that you will not be seeing anything specific to the library in the 2025 budget presentation this evening. Mr. Chair, if there's no questions from the board, Nancy, if you're ready with your presentation, we'll let you take that
And I'm
away.
going to have to run it because I have to have,
I don't know if that's the screen you want to see.
She's going to share her screen, I think.
I think Teresa's going to bring it back up on the screen for me.
right, I have to have Paul.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
Okay, next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with talking about the 2025 proposed tax statement. The information presented at tonight's meeting is the county's portion of your property tax statement. That is noted in red in the red box on the lower half of the property tax statement that everyone receives. Questions relating to other entities that are shown on this statement should be directed to those entities, and their meeting dates and times are noted on this statement. Next slide. So where do your tax dollars go? Although you pay property taxes at Crow Wing County, it does not mean that we retain or keep all of those tax funds. The county acts as an intermediary and disperses your taxes to the various authorities. Per dollar of property tax that comes into Crow Wing County, the county keeps approximately 31 cents of that $1. The remaining 69 cents is distributed to schools, cities, townships, and other special taxing districts. Some of those other special taxing districts can include the Housing and Redevelopment Authority, hospital districts, and also Region 5. Next slide. How are property taxes calculated? This is a very high-level overview of how taxes are calculated for Crow Wing County. We will start at the top with the red box and we'll work clockwise on this graph. So market values are assigned to a property, and they're based on the like sales of properties. Then the classification is assigned to a property. Some types of classifications include residential, commercial, seasonal, agricultural, etc. The next step is the market value and the classification of a property determine the net tax capacity. Tax levies are adopted by the different authorities, so that's the county, your schools, your cities, your townships, and your special taxing districts where the property resides, and those are divided by the net tax capacity of all properties within those respective entities' boundaries, and that determines the net tax capacity tax rate. Then the net tax capacity tax rate for all authorities are added together, and that determines what's called the unique taxing area. So that's the total of the net tax capacity tax rate. And finally, the tax capacity of each property multiplied by the net tax capacity tax rate of the unique taxing area determines the total net tax capacity tax of a parcel. Next slide. So this table shows you the market value changes and new construction valuation changes, excuse me, for Crow Wing County for the last 5 years. In green shows you the payable year 2025, and you can see that the taxable market value between years 24 and 25 increased by 3.28%. Total new construction decreased between 24 and 25 by just over 10%, and the percentage of new construction in relation to the taxable market value is 1.31%. So you can see the trend there of those different areas on this table. Next slide. Next, we'll look at the taxable market value by property type. So this is looking at the agricultural, residential, seasonal, and commercial property classifications. We're just comparing 2 years, so we're looking at 24 to 25 to see if there were increases or decreases between the 2 years. So if we look, the bottom bar graph is for 2024. The top bar graph is for 2025. If we look at the blue portion, that's our agricultural property type, and that is showing an increase from 5.04% in 2024 to 6.29% in 2025, or an increase of $250 million. Next in orange is the residential property type. That is also seeing an increase of about $133 million. Seasonal is in gray. That is also showing an increase of about $238 million from the 2 years. And last in gold or yellow is commercial, and I do need to make an adjustment on this. I received some information from our Land Services Department recently. It does show that that had a decrease between 24 and 25. That is not the case. It's actually having an increase of just over $100 million. So that is a clarification there. So all the property types, taxable market value has increased from 24 to 2025. Next slide. We have on the screen the property tax levy history for the last 5 years. In green is the property tax levy that we're proposing tonight of $47,741,458. As County Administrator Erickson noted, that is a 3.99% increase from the prior year. Next slide. We wanted to provide you some information on what that looks like between taxes paid in 24 versus 25 for some of the property classifications. On this slide, we're looking at the commercial property, the residential property, and the seasonal. We took some average market values on the lower end, mid-range, and higher end to see what that comparison in tax would be. So if you look at the gold box, that's the commercial property. So if you look at those average market values of $15,900, if everything stays the same, the market value does not change for the property from year to year, their taxes would remain stable. Same with the $158,100 average market value. The tax difference would be an increase of $1. And then the $897,000 average market value would see an increase of approximately $6. We also have that breakdown for the residential property, so we have a lower, mid-range, high-level average market values. For most of them, the taxes remain the same with the exception of the $570,000 average market value. Taxes would increase approximately $2. And finally, in orange.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Oh, excuse me, I didn't hear you. Yes?
Yeah. So Nancy, is this, could you go back to the yellow box just for, so that 158, or I could just take any of them, that $539, is that just the county portion, or are you including the school district or whatever city or township that somebody's in?
That would just be the county portion.
Just the county portion?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Continue.
And then the seasonal property, which is the orange box, again, the increase in tax would occur in the high value of the $739,000, which would increase approximately $2. The next slide. Our 2025 budget timeline, it is a year-long process. It's not something where it's just a few months. We quickly wrap up the budget and present it. It starts in January, where we start with preparations of our budget calendar for the year. From March through June, departments are preparing their budgets. Meetings are held with myself and each of the different departments, and also meetings are held with our Capital Improvement Plan Advisory Committee. Then in July and August, we put all the information together. We have ongoing meetings, and we start presentations at the budget committee level here at the county. You will see some dates noted there. July 12th, that was our first submission of budgets that we received from departments here at the county. At that time, our levy ask was at $53.4 million, which was a 16.41% increase. On August 2nd, we had reduced that levy down to $49.1 million, or also reduced it down to a 7.05% increase, which was a reduction of $4.3 million. And then finally, on September 6th, we had our levy down to a $47.7 million increase, which is what we're presenting tonight, and that's a 3.99% increase. So overall, from July 12th to September 6th, we were able to reduce our levy by $5.7 million. We had 7 rounds of budget revisions. 90 employees are included in this process, and thousands of hours of work was involved to get the levy to where it is tonight.
Paul?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would also point out, Nancy, that at some point in the spring, the county board does give direction as far as what they would like to see the percentage of increase be, and that's the goal that staff starts to work on from that point.
Correct. In September, the county board certifies the preliminary levy. This needs to be done before September 30th. And then in October and November, we're continuing to finalize our operating and our capital improvement plan budgets. And then finally, where we are tonight is the budget and levy public hearing. The board needs to certify the final levy and budget on or before 5 working days after December 20th. So those are the guidelines that we follow here at the county. Next slide. So the 2025 budget and levy, the county levy funds consist of our general fund, highway fund, community services fund, and capital projects fund. Again, the tax levy revenue that we're proposing is $47,741,458. Other revenue for 2025, we're budgeting for $61.2 million. Expenditures, we're budgeting at $109 million. And we're budgeting for some fund balance utilization of just over $217,000. That is planned utilization of fund balance. It's not something we take lightly. We always make sure when we're utilizing fund balance that we have a long-range plan as how we're going to utilize those funds. Next slide. I also wanted to provide some information for the unorganized territory levy funds. As some of you know, the county board is the governing body for the unorganized territory. They do not have a town board or a city council. So I wanted to provide some information on their levy amount as well as their budgets. So the unorganized territory consists of the first assessment district and the second assessment district. The first assessment district tax levy revenue, we're proposing just over $1.3 million. Other revenue budget at $53,000. Expenditures within the FAD of $1.4 million, and a fund balance utilization of just over $86,000. For the second assessment district, or SAD, tax levy revenue of $91,000, $91,335. Other revenue budgeted at $6,600. Expenditures of just over $54,000, and a fund balance increase of just over $43,000. Next slide. The organizational chart will give you a breakdown of the levy funds at the county. So I had mentioned the general fund, the highway fund, community services, and capital projects, and then the FAD and SAD. These are the breakdowns of the different divisions underneath each of those funds. So you'll see under the general fund, we have different service centers, one related to governance, then we have administrative, public safety, and land services. And then you'll see the breakdown for the other departments as well. Next slide. We will look at the property tax levy broken out by fund. So the general fund, you will see at the bottom of this chart, and we're proposing an increase in that tax levy for the general fund of 4.22%. For the highway fund, that would be a tax levy decrease of 4.34%. Community services is proposing a tax levy of 7.48% increase. Capital projects would see a decrease in tax levy of 23.12%. The first assessment district would see a tax levy increase of 5.99%. And then the second assessment district would see a tax levy increase of 8.98%, comparing years 25 to year 2024. Next slide. The table here shows the 2025 levy budgets broken down by numbers. Again, same information as far as fund and service centers. You will see we have then in blue, the blue column show you the percentage of change from the prior year. So overall, the total levy funds for expenditures will see a change of an increase of 3.3%. On the revenue side, excluding the tax levy, that will be an increase of 12.4%. And then we have fund balance utilization of $260,000 for all of those different funds. And finally, the tax levy change from 24 to 25 of 4.1%. And this, again, includes the first assessment district and the second assessment district as well. Now we're going to provide some pie charts to show you the total revenue. Total revenue for the 2025 budget in the levy funds, just over $110 million. The biggest piece of the pie for revenues is property tax levy, which is 44%, followed by intergovernmental revenues at 37%. That includes state aid, county program aid, police aid, and local, state, and federal grants. Next, we have other taxes at just over 9%, and the biggest revenue we receive under that category is our local option sales tax revenue. Then we have charges for services at just over 4%, and then it goes on from there to investments, miscellaneous, and licenses and permits. On the next slide, our 2025 total expenditures equal just over $110 million. The biggest piece of the pie here is personnel services at 52%, followed by services and charges at 24%. That includes electricity and water, legal fees, contractor fees, software services, and property and casualty insurance. Next, we have public aid assistance at just over 12%. That includes a lot of our programs through community services, which includes our foster home placements, our correction placements, and our mental health initiatives. Then we have supplies and materials at just over 5%, followed by capital outlay at 4%, and other expenditures at less than 1%. The next slide is that organizational chart showing the non-levy funds. that are part of the resolution for tonight. Those non-levy funds consist of the ditch fund, the solid waste fund, the public land management fund, and the landfill fund. And the breakdown of the different divisions underneath those funds are noted there. The non-levy budgets is the next slide. Again, the comparison of percentage of change from 24 to 25 for expenditures for those funds. Expenditures are going to see a decrease of 10.9% from those 2 years. Revenues will see a slight increase of 0.2%, and there will be a fund balance build of $699,000 in those respective funds. For the pie charts on the next slide for the revenues, again, 2025 total revenues equate to $5.7 million. The biggest piece of the pie is charges for services at 47%. That's our charges at our landfill, followed by other taxes at 18%. That are the largest component of that are special assessments within our solid waste fund and our ditch fund, followed by licenses and permits at 12%. That equates to, the majority of that is for our timber permits, and then followed by miscellaneous, intergovernmental, and investments. On the next slide, we'll look at expenditures. 2025 expenditures total just over $5 million. The biggest piece of the pie are services and charges at 38%. The majority of this is for consulting fees and contractor fees, followed by personnel services at 26%. Then we go to capital outlay at just over 13%. The majority of that is for our landfill projects, followed by other expenditures and supplies and materials. The next slide shows how we compare to other counties within the state. The counties we have listed here consist of counties within the Minnesota Inter-County Association, also known as MICA, and also our neighboring counties close by Crow Wing County or bordering Crow Wing County. So you will see in green, Crow Wing County is the green bar that you will see there on this chart. It's the second one from the left. And this shows us what our tax levy increases are for each of these counties within the state of Minnesota. In red, that is the statewide average. So the statewide average is at 6.42%. Crow Wing County is at 3.99%, which is the 15th lowest out of 87 counties. The next slide shows the per capita by county. Again, statewide, looking at these same county comparisons as the previous slide, you will see Crow Wing County there in green at $699, whereas the statewide average is $727. Crow Wing County is 21st lowest out of 87 counties. The next two slides show some property tax refunds that I just wanted people to be aware of. They are not refunds or credits that we at the county administer or have any part of. These come directly through the Minnesota Department of Revenue. But we went on their site and provided you the criteria with what criteria that they have or requirements that they have and that people may be eligible for these different refunds. So the first one is the regular homestead credit refund. Some of the criteria for this is that you need to own and live in your home on January 2nd of this year. Your household income for 2023 needs to be less than $135,410. The refund is based on your income and property taxes, and there is a state form that you need to complete. All of that information is on the Minnesota Department of Revenue website. If people have any questions, please contact that agency directly. There is also another credit refund on the next slide called the Special Homestead Credit Refund. The criteria for that one is that you need to own and live in the same home on January 2nd of 2023, as well as January 2nd of 2024. Your home's net property tax increase is by no more than 12% between 23 and 24. The net property tax increase was at least $100, and the increase was not because of improvements you made to the property. Again, the same form is needed for this one as well. Further information, please reach out to the Minnesota Department of Revenue. And with that, Mr. Chair, that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Any comments? A lot of work, Nancy. Thank you. This would be the time to,
Open the public hearing.
okay, and I,
Motion to open the public
yep.
hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Franzine, seconded by Hoag. Roll call.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Commissioner Lepke?
Aye. And I will go right down the list here. I have a bunch here from the library, but I have two other ones not regarding the library. One is here from a Troy Scheffler. You have 3 minutes, sir. Oops. Yep, that's library.
You ready?
Yes?
Okay, good evening, board. Just wanted to show up to let you guys know that I really appreciate the great job you guys have been doing. Just kidding. You guys are about as corrupt as it gets, and I had to show up. I'm supposed to be fighting Satan. I got a lawsuit against the state right now, trying to get the devil out of the state capitol, so I didn't want to do this, but I knew there was going to be BS that was told to these library folks. This nonsense about you can't raise the levy, that could be true. But you know what you could also do is not give yourself 10% raises this year. That could fund the library, but it seems to be kind of a repetitious thing. 2022, you guys voted yourself a 10% raise while everyone else is going broke, losing their jobs. They're making less money. You guys are giving yourself more money and raising their property taxes. Hell of a team you guys got going on right there, because you don't seem to ever speak out about it. I mean, it funds a guy to sit half the year in Florida, doesn't even have any interest in staying in his community to serve people directly in his district. I would say shame on you, but I'm going to have to say shame on the public because they keep electing people like you. It's embarrassing. Now, you guys just wrote me a nice-sized check because you guys are so corrupt, and it's still coming. It's going to still come. You guys pull these tax frauds. The last one, little Miss Franzine, or Franzine if you want to church it up. That one cost you. This time I'm going to go for 6 figures, I think. And I'll bet you guys that I get 6 figures this go around. So I guess expect that coming shortly. Looks like Doug gets to avoid the fun of that. But I'm also going to bet that one of you guys ends up going to jail. Because this time, being that I went to the sheriff's office, they placed charges with regard to that tax fraud. Went to Don Ryan. He had to conflict out for obvious reasons. But now it's been sitting for 2 years and nothing. So I guess we'll go to the feds to see what's going on. Now, as far as that settlement that just happened, the public might be saying, well, what was that all about? Well, I don't know. Ask Miss Erickson why she tells her husband, who is the dispatch editor, to hide stuff with regard to the corruption in the county. It's interesting. I thought that was a conflict of interest even higher, but it is what it is. You went from the last administrator that actually helped Ms. Franzen with the tax fraud. The internal emails are pretty clear that was going on. She really pushed after the county attorney said, no, you can't do that. That's unlawful. Well, she told Land Services to do it anyhow. So, you should maybe take the money you stole from me. Well, you kind of compensated me a little bit from the last check and maybe put it towards the library. But I just knew you guys would pull this crap and try telling these people that need their library funded that there's just nothing you can do, and we're working on it next year. But hey, you're going to keep your wallets fat. Again, I'm not going to say shame on you. I'm going to say shame on them. Maybe next go around they'll get rid of all you. I think they made a right choice by getting rid of Doug. He's been around. He was there. And in fairness, John, you weren't there when Franzen was pulling her little tricks. But it also reminds me of Josh Heinzman. You guys should look at
Your
actual
3 minutes are up,
funding.
sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, we have Gary Thompson talking about a land question. Is Gary here to speak on that? Unless it was something he took out. He might have gone out. Okay. The rest of these are the library. Do I want to start them individually? And The first one is, I think is it, how would you pronounce it? Rules Merch? Okay. Come right up.
Right up here?
Yep, yep. And your name for the record, please.
Rula. Okay. Ever since we got our library cards, we would go to the library every Saturday after basketball and would check out books and have so much fun because we got to read and check out books. And I think you should fund it more so that lots of people can come and check out books. And so the library can have more fun activities. And all my family think that too. And that is why I think the library should get more funding. We love the library. Give the library more funding, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think the next one is Birdie.
Say your name. Yep, say your name again. Yep, say your name.
Birdie, I think the library should get more funding for many reasons. Ever since my family got library cards, we have been going to the library every Saturday after basketball. Going to the library is kind of the highlight of our week. It's so fun. We enjoy playing with the fun stuff in the children area and doing scavenger hunts to win scented bookmarks. We also like doing puzzles and coloring at the library, and of course checking out and reading books. I think the Brainerd Public Library plays a huge part in the community, and I think that the library should get more funding so everyone can find the joy and happiness in reading. With more funding, we can enjoy reading and fun activities. Sometimes I have to place holds on books at the library. With more funding, the Brainerd Public Library can get more copies of popular books so you can get a book right away. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Okay. We have a Mary Auditor. Mary Agreeter? Okay, please come forward. Name and address for the record, just so we keep that clear.
615 North 5th Street, Brainerd.
Yep.
I have to say I'm confused about the funding, but first of all, I volunteer at the library. I see an incredible spectrum of people using the library. Everything from little kids about this high who are basically pulling books out of the low shelves to people even older than I am, reading, looking at the magazines, taking naps, whatever. It's just an incredible resource. You said that, as I said, I don't understand the funding bit, but you said the levy increase was 3.99%. So is the library's budget 3.99% bigger than it was last year?
No.
Okay. Is it is the library under community services?
No, as I mentioned, the library is listed under the general fund portion of the county budget.
So what was the general fund increase this year in the levy?
When we talk about the county levy, we look at it as a whole, not individual budgets. So the 3.99% was as a whole.
I understand that, but I also understand that the library's had pretty much the same budget for some incredible number of years, like 11?
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything you've purchased recently that cost the same amount it did 11 years ago, 10 years ago, 9 years ago? I understand a budget is not an easy thing to do, but library is a wonderful thing, and it needs to be funded much more enthusiastically. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Next would be a Laura Ruth. I apologize if I don't pronounce your name right. I'm not real good at reading some of this handwriting, but when you come up to the mic, please correct me.
Thank you, Laura Rothy.
Address too, if you don't mind.
15847 Old Stonebridge Trail in Brainerd. Thank you for listening to us all. I would echo what you've heard so far and say that the library is a very valuable community resource. The first place I usually go to and the first place I went to when I moved to Brainerd was the library to get a library card. It's like law enforcement and firefighters and public parks and all kinds of things that we pay for that benefit everybody. And if that means increasing my taxes, go for it, please. They need to be well-funded, paid what they're worth. It's a valuable resource for everyone in the community. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you. Diane Mayer would be the next one that I have in front of me here.
Did you say Diane Meyer?
Diane Mayer? Meyer, okay.
Diane Meyer, 13588 Red Pine Road. I am saying the same thing as other people. The funding has been stagnant for 10 to 11 years. The budget keeps going up, but the library funding does not. The library is a valuable service to this community, and I think it should be raised. Our taxes have not stayed the same for 10 years. The library funding should not stay the same for 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Doreen Iceland?
Eastland?
I'm getting better, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
Name and address for the record so we
My
got
name's
it.
Doreen Eastland. I live at 14386 Shoreview Drive in Baxter. I guess the comments I had prepared, some of them are moot since it's not going to be addressed until sometime next year. But my question, first of all, is when should we be coming back to look at this funding? In September? For 2026 or?
Chair, if I may?
Yes, you may.
So the budget process, as Nancy had pointed out in the calendar, is going to kick off in the spring. The departments will be looking at their budgets, bringing that information forward at that time. Most likely by the August, September timeline, that's when the board has the authority to set that preliminary levy is in September. So that should be when that discussion is had at that point.
Okay, then a few other points, because, and these statistics may be, we've heard a lot of statistics. These may be a little old, but this was from 2023, because we do take this seriously. I've been a friend of the library. I've been a library patron for much of my life before I even moved here. But in the last, this is 2023, 47% of the county population are regular registered users of the library. That's nearly half the population of the county. And I would say that's probably an undercount, because if you go to any given day when there's children's activities or anything else going on at the library, those kids don't all have library cards, but they're all there using those services. And I think the important thing is it's called a public library. It is for the public, it's for the benefit of the public. Like some of these other services they mentioned, it's vital to the community. And you raise the citizens of tomorrow that learn critical thinking skills, how to decide things for themselves. They learn information about other people besides themselves, other people that aren't necessarily like them. I just think it is one of the last community safe places where people are welcome. All people are welcome, and there's no subscription fee. There's no, everything's free to use. You don't have to have a certain designation or prove yourself to use the public library. And I can't tell you how many seniors I see in our community that go there for community, for one thing, to read the newspaper, to meet with other people, besides all the events and activities that go on day after day after day. If you spend any time in that library, I think you'd be overly impressed with the work that the people do with less and less funding. And I'll tell you, the staff are stretched about as far as they can go without breaking. Like a rubber band, you can only stretch it so far. And we've already, they did a real thoughtful job when they had to reduce library hours by looking at usage and when it was used the most and when it would impact the fewest number of people. But I'd hate to see that go further and further reduce the ability of our community to use this public service. Thank you.
Thank you. Judy Raridan.
Good evening. I'm here. I'll
Name
echo what
name and address, Judy.
Judy Bearden, 14152 Oxcart Trail, Brainerd.
Thank you.
I'm here to echo what has been said. Our library is a valuable community resource from small children to elderly. Following the excellent presentation that you were given by the Kichigami Regional Director, my family reached out with emails to all of the commissioners, and sad to say, only one commissioner responded. Thank you, John. Our own commissioner did not respond to the emails that were sent to him, which is rather disappointing since you're supposed to be serving the community. Anyway. With the costs of everything rising over the last 11 years, it's kind of ludicrous to think that the library can remain functioning at the level of, the number of hours open and the number of services when you don't give any increased funding. Please, please, give the library the funding that it needs to remain open and to serve the public as it's supposed to. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Paula Persons. And repeat it into the mic and your address, Paula.
Sure, Paula Persons, 10032 Island Drive in Brainerd, Minnesota. I just want to reiterate what everybody else is saying. I know you have a tough job, but we have to look at the future. If we don't increase the amount of money we give, we are going to lose the books. Books are not getting any cheaper. You can't go out and buy a book. Some of them are costing $50 a piece. I am at the library every Monday morning. I use their meeting rooms, which is a wonderful thing for the community, but it amazes me the amount of small children, the homeschooled children who are using it so much. We do support our children in this Brainerd area in the Crow Wing County, but look at it in the future. Things are not going to get cheaper. If you are not going to increase your budget, how is your library going to survive? Some people say we don't need libraries. Yes, we do. It's a very valuable community asset to us.
Thank you. I think it's Kathy Gray.
She left.
Huh?
She left.
She left, okay. Tom Orr. And again, in the mic with your address, so we've got it. Tom?
My name's Tom Orr. I'm 9707 Legionville Road, Brainerd. I guess everybody's covered. I came with a thing how my family, little kids, all the way, grandchildren, all the way up, how we use it, but it's really not right now for that. That'll be when next July when I come and stand. I guess my only question is, why is it funded the minimum? Why? You guys all have, I don't know, do you use the library? That's the key. Why is it the minimum every year? And if the state doesn't turn up the minimum, then we lose. That's the key. We lose in our area here. So that's my question to you: is why the minimum? Is it so you can keep that 3.9% or lower, or how? Maybe other things. It's important.
Thank you. Sue Sterling.
Thank you for hearing us. My name is Sue Sterling. I live at 217 Southwest 4th Street in Brainerd. I won't reiterate everything everyone else has said, but I will emphasize that the Brainerd Library is a learning facility for all ages. It is a thinking lab, and kids spend too much time with their faces in their phones, and the library gives them another place to put their face. And books is a great area to put it. It is a meeting facility for so many of the community organizations in town, and when you reduce the hours of the library, you reduce the ability of groups to get together. Also, it is a very non-violent facility. It is a retreat. It is a repose for people in this community to go to when they need thinking time, when they just need to get away. And for a certain part of our population, it's a place to go to get warm, to get cold when they don't have air conditioning. There's a large population that uses the computers because they don't have internet access at home, or they're homeless and it's the only place they can go to learn how to get a job. The library has so many resources for all ages, and we truly do need more hours there. So I ask you, please, tell us who to go to emphasize the need for more hours so we can be on top of this for 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. T.J. Jones.
Hi, my name's Tom Jones, 4028 West Grove. Now, my understanding, maybe I misunderstood this. I presume the library got the same increase as the rest of the budget, 3.99?
Mr. Chair, no, the library increase was 0 for 2025. The library received $509,127 in 2024 and are slated to receive $509,127 in 2025.
Okay, and in my mind, my taxes keep going up. I know, like Dave said before, you have a hard job, I understand that. My taxes keep going up. The library is a very important resource for the whole county, so I would think their budget would continue to go up as well. And that's the bottom line, in my opinion. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Christine Rasmussen.
Christine Rasmussen, 2103 Crestview Lane. I have been a library user here since the first week of January when we moved here in 1982 in the old location. And I have always seen a huge variety of people. I'm in the library about twice a week, sometimes more. And this morning, as an example of wonderful staff help, I walked into the library, and here's an elderly gentleman in a wheelchair, and staff is assisting him in sending a fax. I'm assuming he could have no other way to do that easily. I see many elderly people reading the paper, reading magazines, using the free magazine exchange. Lots of parents bring in small children, and always they are welcomed. The staff goes out of their way to help you with anything you need, even if they have to dig for it. And they are so deserving, and the programming for children for a number of years, they helped me with a program through Master Gardeners, and until COVID came along, and I needed to not do that anymore. But I really appreciate your hearing all of us. And I certainly hope, with everything else being adjusted upward with the realities of the economy, that the same can happen for the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. And I think I have one last one here, Sahab Basart? How bad did I?
It was pretty bad, but Sohaib Basharat. I live 7981 Hinckley Road, apartment 218, Baxter. We moved here 5 months ago. It's my wife, and we have a 1-year-old daughter, and we have benefited immensely from the library. Both me and my wife have checked out books and loaned books and read from the library, and our 1-year-old daughter goes there for story time and meets other kids there and looks at pictures and baby books there. So it's been hugely beneficial for us. And I would want to have better funding for the library for the future. Education is the most important thing, I think, for a society. And library plays a key role in that, particularly for kids. They're spending more and more time these days on social media, and library is one way we can get them out into the real world and interact with physical books and people and get interested in books and read. So it's really important to have the library funding go up. And I just wanted to clarify one thing. You said, in 10 years it hasn't increased. So $509,000, $900,000 10 years ago, today is actually worth like $381,000. So it's, I think, unfair to say that we haven't increased the funding. What's fair to say is that actually it's gone down. So it has gone down every year, that it's not increasing. If it's not increasing at least by yearly inflation, that means it's going down. So I think that's not right. Like everything else, the funding is increasing. At least it should be going up by inflation every year, but probably more than that to catch up on these 10 years that it has gone down. So I think that's really important. And then last thing I wanted to ask was that you said that the 3.9% levy cannot be increased for this coming year, but are you able to readjust whatever funds that you have raised between different categories? And in that way, can you increase the library funding or no? So while keeping the levy the same, can you readjust the funds?
Mr. Chair, the levy cannot be changed. I mean, the levy cannot increase, but there can be adjustments within the levy that's listed there.
So that's something that should be considered, because otherwise it would feel like we're just punting it down 1 year from now and maybe hoping people are going to forget, So why not consider that if that is an option? Maybe that can be considered. And I know you guys have a tough job and I appreciate what you're doing, but maybe that's something you can consider if it's in your power. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I would just like to thank everybody here who came here to speak for the library. I serve on the Gitchigami Library Board. I've only served on it for a couple of years. I understand how the funding works. The funding for the library is a mandated, what do they call it, what's a maintenance of effort?
Minimum maintenance of effort.
Minimum maintenance efforts, which is actually a state statute, and that's what the state says we have to pay. So that's what it's been for the last 11 years, if I'm correct?
You are correct.
Okay, so is there anybody else here who wants to speak to the library that isn't on here, and this is just for the library?
Are there any other comments about the budget presentation that Nancy provided?
Okay, or anything else on the budget presentation?
If you haven't spoken yet.
If you haven't spoken yet, thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, then if there's no other public comment, the action
If there is
would be
no
to
other
close-
public comment, I would make a motion to close the public hearing.
So you need a motion to close.
I need a motion. Would somebody please make a motion?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
We have a motion by Hoag, second by Francine. All in favor?
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Public hearing's closed. Now we're to the final budget and levy resolution, am I correct?
You're correct.
For the budget for the year of 2025.
So action would be in front of you to adopt the motion the resolution in front of you.
I'll make the motion to adopt the 2025 budget as presented.
Second.
I didn't hear it.
Paul, did you
say
second
second,
that?
Paul? I didn't hear you.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Hoag, seconded by Coring. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Roll call.
Commissioner Franzine? Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. Motion carried. Budget is approved.
Mr. Chair, that's the final item we had before you today.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Franzine, seconded by Hoag. All in favor? All in favor?
Oh, hold on. Okay. Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine? Commissioner Lebke?
Aye. Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you.